Welcome back to another episode of the Upland Social, brought to you by Gundog Central and Hunt Ready. You're listening to the Upland Social, a podcast dedicated to the bird hunting community. I'm your host, Ryan Linton, an artist, writer, and lover of all things dogs and birds. We'll gear up and hit the field with some of the most engaging and compelling voices on the bird hunting scene. Each week, we will hear from seasoned hunters, dog trainers, storytellers, wild game specialists, to everyday uplanders just like you and me. Their insights, experience, and stories will inspire and equip you to explore, conserve, and celebrate the wild places we all love. The landscape is truly limitless. So load up, drop the tailgate, and let's go. This is the Upland Social. Courtney Bastian's journey into upland hunting began in 2008 when her German Wirehaired Pointer, Briar, placed a pheasant in her hands, a moment that shifted her life towards bird dogs, shotguns, and wild places. At the height of the 2020 pandemic, Courtney launched the Bird Dog Babe podcast, building community during the challenges of the pandemic and beyond. This endeavor was then the grounds for the genesis of HerUpland, a nonprofit dedicated to creating opportunities for women and youth through hunting camps, wingshooting clinics, and mentorship. Based in Montana with her husband William and their children Burke and Blayre, Courtney balances life with a kennel of bird dogs and a small menagerie of farm animals. With a background in biology and animal science and an MBA in progress, she blends passion and professionalism to advance conservation, community, and confidence in the uplands. Courtney, thanks for joining us today on the Upland Social.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Ryan. That was quite the mouthful of a bio. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we've got a lot of things to talk about here. So
We do.
let's get started. So, yeah, just tell us a little bit more about yourself and where you're roughly located out in the country as well.
Yeah, I think you nailed it about who I am, what I do. I am located in Western Montana, so not too far from Missoula. I live in a beautiful little valley concentrated on ranching. We're really fortunate to have some beautiful mountain ranges around us that provide three different species of mountain grouse that we get to chase after in our backyard. So it's pretty lovely here.
Yeah. So, touching on that real fast. So, the mountain grouse, is there a particular species that you like to pursue the most out of those three? Or is it kind of like we're just going to go and whatever happens with these three species in the day?
Yeah, I think my favorite is dusky. Um, they're a more challenging, just with elevation to get to figure out where they're going to be, what time of year. Um, The rough grouse are always going to be special to me. Love them. They're always along those riparian areas. And the spruce grouse, honestly, are just something that you accidentally run into in the
Okay.
pursuit of one or the other.
Yeah, yeah. So do you have a particular reason why the Duskies are your favorite out of those three, at least for where you're at now?
Yeah, I think just the challenge. Rough grouse, I know exactly where they're going to be. It's very easy to pinpoint that habitat. The dusky, they, you think that you're in that area, you find the right habitat, you see all the things that they're eating right around you, and you're like, where are you? Why are you not
Mm,
here? You should be here. You'd thrive if you lived here, and they're not
hmm
there. So, yeah, we're trying to you sort out that, keeping them around the 5,500-foot elevation, open park-like setting, and they're supposed to be there. Sometimes they aren't.
hmm Yep, yep. That's any game bird, right? They're there until they're not, right?
Right.
So yeah. So no, I totally get that. I've seen a few. I've elk hunted in Colorado, and I've seen a few there. Those were not spooky at all. I was able to get pretty close to those, but I know that once you put a dog on the ground and a gun in hand, the elements change for sure. So it's
Yeah.
definitely on my list to pursue those birds, and yeah, but it's they're all special species, that's for sure. And spruce, I'd love
Yep.
to chase spruce too, at some point.
Yeah.
So
They're a beautiful bird, super cool bird. Um, but yeah, the dusky, it's funny because, I hear a lot of my big game hunting friends that say, "Oh, you go after those birds that just sit there that when I get bored, I shoot with my bow." Like, yeah, but they don't do that when you have a dog on the ground because
Mhm.
that's their predator is
Mhm.
the wolves, the coyotes, and so yeah, they act a lot different when you have a dog on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not too many instances where those birds see a bipedal, if I can use that word,
Yep,
animal, going through the woods, right? So I'm sure
right.
it makes sense that they'd be confused and not think to evade pressure from us, right? But makes perfect sense with our dogs. So,
Yep.
um, yeah. So let's hear about this moment with Briar and the pheasant. Is Briar is this a female or a male?
Yeah, she was a female.
Female.
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
yep. So, um, Briar, well, I got my first German Wirehaired Pointer in 2004, and Briar was my third. Although she was from my first litter, our first homebred litter. She was born in 2007, and she was the dog that made me want to get into NAVDA. I did the natural ability test with her, and um, I just for those first 4 years of having the wire hairs, I really just enjoyed walking with my husband when he hunted, taking photos of the dogs working, and so that's what we did. I had a very special bond with Briar. From the moment she was born, I just knew that was the one I was keeping, which as a breeder, you shouldn't do that, I've learned. But
Right.
luckily it worked out that time with her. But yeah, watching her hunt, do what she loved to do, my husband shooting birds for her. But it was the moment when he would shoot a bird and she would retrieve them and bring them to me and instead of him. All the other
Mm.
dogs in the past had always taken him the bird, and she was the one that started bringing me the bird, and I was just like, "Oh, you want me to hunt with you? Okay, well, now I have to figure this out." And so, yeah, I mean, that's been it's a long time. And,
Yeah.
it's been a just a deep dive from there, and yeah, I'm grateful for the day she brought me that bird and for everything, she's gotten me into since then.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's like she's bringing it to you saying like, "You wanna get in on this, right?"
Yeah,
Uh,
like, she was very proud of that prize and wanted me to be part of that, so I
yeah.
it was couldn't say no. I think it was the following weekend, I went to a sporting goods store, bought myself a Benelli Ultralight, and then it was game over.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Yeah, I love how there's kinda these moments where and I think a lot of folks can relate to this too, where there's a pivotal moment where the trajectory of your life, or at least the part of your life, and what your interests are, completely change. And I mean, it's a very clear moment for you, and I can point to some things for myself as well. And I know there's a lot of folks out there that can relate to that. And Briar obviously had no idea that she kind of the flip that was switched on the inside of you that day, and what you would be doing years later now. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that you've experienced and have come into contact with along the way that would never have happened if Briar like hadn't brought that bird to you. So I think that's
Yeah.
really really cool.
Yeah,
Love that.
100%, 100%. It helps just be so much more relatable, with what I'm doing now with the women and the youth that I'm surrounded by, um, yeah, with her upland of how they're getting into it. So, I've been right there with them and taken every step that they're
Yeah.
most of them are now just starting, so, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. We touched on it in the bio for a second, but have you now are you still doing photography? Have you married that photography with the world of upland hunting and take the camera with you a lot on hunts, or does how does that work for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, by no means was I ever or am I a photographer. I just really enjoy the dog work, the scenery. But yeah, I mean, I will be the person that as I'm walking up to my dog on point, I will pull out the camera and snap a photo if I have that opportunity for sure. I
Okay.
think those are important memories to have. And I just really love to see good dogs work.
Hmm.
It is a thing of beauty.
Yeah. Yeah, photography is not something that I've got into yet, but I think within the next year or two I'm going to start dipping my toe into that world. Not like on a professional scale, just like what you're talking about, but there's I think I have at least a slight eye for what makes a at least halfway decent photo. And I love when a photo can just really tell a story. And it's not I mean, there's nothing wrong with like the just, we're going to line up and just take a picture. But I love catching those like really candid moments where I think a really good photo makes the viewer have to use their imagination and almost like put themselves there in the moment, or they felt like they almost kind of missed out on a moment
Yeah.
where they're like, oh man, I wish I could have been there, this looked like this was awesome. And it's just this real kind of candid raw moment that you captured, and that can take on a billion shapes and forms and things, right? But I think that's really cool. So you actually carry it with you like on a harness or something like that, where it's just kind of like how do you do that in a hunting setup when you've got obviously all this other gear and a gun included hanging off of
Yeah.
you? Like,
Yeah, no,
yeah, what's
I'm
your setup?
I'm not fancy at all. I have zero setup. I just have my cell phone.
Okay, yeah,
So, yeah. Yep, that's all I do. I think it captures the good enough quality that works for me, I enjoy, and keeps that memory. So yeah, the cell phone's great. It slips in the
yeah,
pocket. I have seen people super impressive have a harness, have the camera hanging on it, and I have inquired to do something like that. But for me, it's just another thing that I would likely lose in the field, and and we don't
right,
need that. So
yeah.
the cell phone works just fine for me.
Yeah, yeah, I'm right there with you too. I would easily lose it or tear it up or something. And truth be
Yeah.
told, I mean, these phones are just so incredible these days. I mean, you can get some pretty darn good photos off of your phone. So nothing wrong with that. You have quite the lineup of bird dogs. I know in the bio we didn't talk about it, but correct me if I'm wrong. You've got German Wirehaired Pointers, um, Bracco Italianos, and a Cocker. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
I suppose I should update my bio because the line has lengthened a bit of as far as
Okay.
bird dog breeds. Yeah, so for 20 years, my husband and I have had German Wirehair Pointers. We will always have that breed. They are incredible, versatile. When I am out hunting by myself, I love to have a wire hair with me, especially around here. We live in bear country, and I know that my Bronco, the Brocky would just see a bear and turn around and say, "Okay, I'll meet you at the tailgate." Where the
Mm-hmm.
wire hair would stand up and say, "I got this, Mom. Let's go. We're
Yeah.
just fine."
Right.
And the
Right.
Cocker would definitely try that too. She would definitely try to protect me. But yeah, you know, moving out here, different country from what we had in Wisconsin. And I've just learned I'm kind of at that point in my life where I just really enjoy a good dog. Regardless of what breed it is, I love to see a specialist in their terrain, where they excel. And so while the wire hair does it all really well, the Bronco for me, early season, central eastern Montana and the prairie, like that really is a thing of beauty. Seeing
Mm-hmm.
that big old trot in the rolling prairie, like, ooh, I'm just getting goosebumps knowing it's a couple days away from seeing that again.
Right.
Um, but yeah, because the wire hairs, they get hot. They're not very heat tolerant, and they can't go as far as long as what the Bronco can. Um, and the Cocker, I just like some days, like with the pointing dogs, there's a lot of rules. I don't like to shoot birds unless the dogs give me some clean work on it. I've seen really bad habits come from that. So some days I just want to go out, pursue birds, not have rules. And so I bring out the Cocker, and she's just always ready to get it done. So I love seeing her work in the thick pheasant country. She gets in to the deeper stuff that the pointing dogs maybe, especially the Bronco, that they don't want to get into those thick cattails and cover. So she goes right in. Um, but yeah, and then let's see, last year, September 1st, um, I got an Irish setter puppy. So he was somebody, his name is Ketchup. He's one that I just really wanted to have for chucker hunting, again for prairies. He'll no doubt be my grouse dog as well, but there's the classic setter look, and an Irish setter was actually my very first bird dog breed I got when I was a sophomore in college, so I'm kind of getting back to my roots there. But he's been super fun to bring along, developed him as a baby through last season, just ran his done natural ability test, and like, I think there's nothing more I'm excited about this season than to get him down and really see what he can do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we got a plethora.
Yeah. No, well, that's fun to be able to experience all these different kind of dimensions of bird hunting through the unique instincts of each breed, right? Too. That's what makes it so much fun. And you've got whether it's early sharp tail season like you're getting ready to get into here in a couple days, where maybe the Bronco, like you were kind of hinting at a second ago, that it lends itself better to that, where the wire hair, he's going to get really hot really fast.
Mhm.
But middle of December in Montana, it's a totally different ball game, right? And it
Yep.
is extreme cold, so it's this huge pendulum swing of temperatures. It's going to be, yeah, it's advantageous to have a wire hair that can hold that heat better. And so, and not only that, like I said, they all have these unique hunting styles as well. So I do want to touch on the Bronco a little bit. So what is the hunting style? I've seen maybe one or two in my life. Take me through, like, yeah, this early season sharptail hunting you're going to get into here in a few days. What does a day look like with a Bronco out on the prairie?
Yeah, and there's so much variety there. I think within every breed you get some variety, and I can say, with my experience, and having 4 Brockie at this point, um, my male is a lot different than what my 3 females are and hunting wise, and I've had the opportunity to train and hunt with other ones, so there is quite a bit of variety in the breed. So it's really hard to say specifically this is what to expect if you have one. But I would say in general they're a closer working dog. Expect them to be more around that 50 to 100-yard range, um, a little shorter. Um, and they're, in general, they're not a big water loving breed. So that's something to keep in mind if you're doing waterfowl. If you're a big waterfowl hunter, they definitely do. I mean, my male loves to duck hunt, and I enjoy doing that with him. The females will definitely go get it down, bird in the water. They just don't love to do it. where
Mm-hmm.
where I've been spoiled for the last 20 years with wire hairs that are just born to swim and love water and do it for no reason. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think for me, the Bronco, like I said earlier, it's that unique movement. It's the trot. I've done dog shows since 2004. Not as much anymore, but I'm just really big on structure of dogs, movement, form and function aspects of it. So
Mm-hmm.
the dogs that are put together that can go all day efficiently, that really does it for my eye. I enjoy beauty in the dogs, and they really kind of check that box for me.
Yeah, no, I love that. Well, that's cool. Yeah, and then touching on the cocker too. So actually, at Pheasant Fest this year, it was at the Purina booth, and there was a cocker that was laying on one of those little elevated platform bed things. There's probably, I'm sure, a more official term for them. But he was laying there, and he was on his back, just with his paws up, very like submissive, like ready for his belly to be scratched. My wife fell in love with him. And we were just
Yes.
talking about this the other day. She said, if they would have said, "Do you want to take him home?" I would have said yes. And she's not
Yes.
really like that. So I am slightly mildly entertaining the cocker and what maybe hunting with one of those is like. I love my Brittany, and I was telling somebody the other day that I think I definitely have the potential to be a breed snob, but I'm not quite there just yet,
Oh,
and still could be persuaded to another breed as well. And so yeah, so the cockers, man, they're a lot of fun. They're just at least all the videos I've seen of them hunting, and then to meet one in person, and just how sweet the disposition was and affectionate. I mean, it looks like it's a win-win on all levels. We actually had one when I was a little kid, but I just don't remember anything about it hardly. I was so young, and we never hunted with it or anything like that. But it'd be cool to kind of get like a second lease with one.
yeah. They're little rock stars for sure. Bosco, that's the dog that you met at the Purina booth. He's owned
Okay,
by Lee Chose, from Raglan Gun Dogs, and he's a cool dog. He really is kind of like the essence of um a cocker as far as just sweet and docile, loving, but when it's time to get out, he's ready to just tear it up. So, yeah, they're a cool dog. I We now have two. So my son, my 11-year-old son, um, we had a litter of puppies this last December, and it wasn't in the plans. And my husband and I definitely didn't have time to work another puppy this year with three dogs going to the invitational. I had catch up to get training. So my son said, "Well, I would really like to have a puppy." And we're like, "Oh gosh, we know how this story ends with a kid wanting a dog, and then it ends up being ours anyways, and we take care of it." But here we are now almost 9 months later, and he's 100% that dog's partner in crime. Does all the training, has him way better trained than I have my cocker already. He can heel off leash. He has them place board trained. And yeah, on Monday, I'm super excited. On opening day, we're going to be just focusing on our son and his puppy out there in the field. So that's going to be
cool.
fun. But yeah, I think they're a great little team member. I know a lot of people with the pointy dogs, when they have a cocker, they like to work them together in the manner of the dog going on point, and then keeping the cocker at a heel the whole time, or bringing them in just for the flush. I don't personally hunt that way. I don't enjoy it. I really like watching my cocker work as well. She kind of goes up into areas that the other dogs don't when we're grouse hunting. And like I said earlier, with the pheasant hunting, she gets in that cover a lot deeper. So I hunt them down the boat at the same time. She works the way
Hmm.
she works. The pointing dogs are out further, working the way they work. And when, I'm just with her, because she's closer, I'm just always really keeping an eye on her, knowing that at any moment the bird's going to get up, because she doesn't really have an indicator. Her tail is, and a lot of my friends, when we hunt with her, they'll say, "How do you know when Midge is getting birdie?" Because she always looks like she's birdie. Her tail is always going. There's no difference from when she gets on scent to when she's working. You just always have to be ready.
Yeah. Which kind of makes it fun, right? To
Yeah,
kind of have that tool in your tool belt and just be like, I just know whenever I'm using this tool, like I just have to be. I mean, you obviously have a dog in front of you, but it's almost as if you're just walking through the woods or whatever, just anticipating for a bird to get up at any point as well. So
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, well,
It
that's
keeps me
cool.
on my
That's really
toes. I
cool.
love it.
Yeah, yeah, that's fun. Well, yeah, so I guess, and it makes sense too, but I just want to make sure. So since they're smaller in stature, they're lower to the ground, they're able to kind of burrow through kind of some places maybe that the other taller dogs wouldn't get through. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I've
Okay.
seen her, yeah, like, go down, specifically in rough grouse cover where it's pretty thick, and more dogs kinda tend to go around it. She'll go right down and through it, and, yeah, then the birds will just pop out the other end.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I feel like I get that a little bit with my Brit where I mean, there is obviously some spaniel heritage, at least to my dog. Where I know they dropped the Brittany Spaniel title back in the '80s or whatever, but she is very much like that when she gets on scent too. I mean, she'll get to belly crawling if she has to like get to maintain that the integrity or whatever of that scent wherever she's following it to. And so it's really cool to watch that. She doesn't do it too often, but even at home, I mean, she's always burrowing under the covers and just kind of even on the couch, just wallowing like underneath of like our pillows and blankets we have. And you can definitely tell it's like in her nature to like want to dig through things. And so she's a pointing breed, but it's still fun to kind of see that sliver of like her genetics in that way too, even in her hunting style as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's fun. All right, let's pivot here a little bit. So 2020 pandemic hits. You launched the Bird Dog Babe podcast. What was your ambition behind that? What was the reason you wanted to do that in response to COVID, and kind of maybe what's a need that you saw that you wanted to kind of help meet?
Yeah, I think a lot of it stemmed from just the move. So we moved out here in September of 19 from Wisconsin. And so, yeah, like that February, March was when the pandemic hit. Um, and I think it was just me, for my full-time job. I work for Purina as a consultant, so I travel a lot. I talk to a lot of people, and when that stopped, and then moving out here, and I really didn't know too many people, there was just an eagerness to kind of stay out in the world and um, find other other women that would be interested in going hunting. And with my husband and I, we had, the two young kids, no family out here. So we would take turns hunting. And that was a huge piece of really finding myself and myself in kind of the upland world, per se, because for years before we moved out here, we hunted together a lot. Almost, I probably did very little solo hunting. He enjoyed me being with. He would do the things of buying me ammo. He would put in the proper chokes for me. He would clean the birds. He would do all those things, which I love and appreciate him for. But at the same time, it really handicapped me when I came out here, and the only chance to hunt was if and when I went by myself. So um, I remember taking my first solo trip out that season in like central Montana and being like, holy cow, I wish I had known to do all these things. And while I had an idea, I wasn't super keen on it. So the podcast came about with just like a lot of questions I had for myself. I wanted to find answers to. Also looking for other women to hunt with or people to hunt with in Wisconsin. There were a lot of guys I hunted with and awesome people, super helpful, great mentors. But yeah, and I think that's kind of what led to the Bird Dog Babe podcast, was just trying to find that and learn more. And so yeah, I just started having guests on that would help teach me, teach others. Um, and it was awesome. It was fun. But then when the world turned back on, and life came back, travel came back, there was just really no time for me to continue doing it. So I miss it. And with HerUpland, I dabbled in it a little bit, and we are looking to reignite that. There's going to be a group of 5 of us, just women that are awesome humans that are out there doing all the things themselves as well, but also at the same time eager to learn. And yeah, so that should be in the process very soon.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's a great thing that I've even discovered of just my podcast, just living for a few months now, is I mean, there's still no substitute for in-person relationships, I think, but there is a sense of being able to turn a screen on and just connect with someone, especially when you're very passionate just about the same things. It is like a little micro pheasant fest, is what
Yeah.
I've kind of felt like, at least. I've only had one pheasant fest to relate to, this last one that in Kansas City, but it's it's been really cool to make these connections and, like you said, to learn things. And there's just so many good things that comes about, such as her upland. You just kind of hinted at it there. So let's dive into that. Let's go from the transition from the Bird Dog Bay podcast to how this has kind of morphed into what is now known as Her Upland. Give us the details on that and the story and the timeline of that.
Yeah, I think with HerUpland, the way it came about was really um, connecting with that community that was built through Bird Dog Babe, where it felt a lot like me. Like, this is the Bird Dog Babe podcast, but I wanted to be about them and us. And so HerUpland formed listening to this community and how much they were also seeking the things I was seeking, with connections and wanting to learn and do things. So that was, I think in 2021, I had a small event up in Kalispell of just a women's day, and they came up and we shot some clays. We went out and had some dogs work, shot some planted birds, came back. We had a bird cleaning demo, bird cooking demo, and the feedback we got from that is we want more of this. And so yeah, it kind of developed that way, and it was mine for a while. And then the goals of trying to break down the barriers of women and youth getting into upland hunting, which was finding mentors, finding the proper gear, the financial barriers. And for me, that was a big one to tackle, was the financial barriers. And the whole Her Upland bit just did not make sense anymore of the way it was. So we moved to 501c3 nonprofit in December of 22. And it's just kind of like, then a board got involved and everybody's making decisions, and that has been huge and helpful to
Mhm.
not only be my baby, but just kind of be able to pass it on and have other people bring in their expertise, their strengths, and make decisions of what is best for the organization. But yeah, we offer a couple different venues or events, as far as we have wingshooting clinics, we have bird dog training camps, and we have upland hunting camps. And all of those encompass a huge piece of education. I think, like, there's a lot of great opportunities out there of having the events of everybody come and do a pheasant hunt. What we are trying to teach women and youth, 3 big things, is the competence, and then how to have that independence, to not have to rely on someone else, and to be able to go out and do it yourself with your dog. So we spend, like, for our hunt camps, we spend 2.5 days in the classroom learning the tools, using Onyx, how to navigate that, learn about the bird habitat. They get professional wing shooting instruction while they're there. And then they get 2 days of hunting wild birds. And that is with them in a group of 3 with a field mentor. They're spending the night before using Onyx to scout out areas to put all the tools together of what they learned in the classroom those last couple of days of where they'll find birds. And then they go out and they explore those spots. And yeah, a lot of times they'll get there and there's no birds, so it's great conversation pieces of, well, why do we think that we didn't find birds here? Because that's real life hunting.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what we want them to learn so that go back, um, when they go back home, they can use those tools and go put it in their own locations to find birds with their dogs.
Yeah, that's good, and I love that you kind of view that just as a teaching opportunity as opposed to like an obstacle of not finding birds in that area because it's like, well, that's the way it goes a lot, you know. So this is a perfect opportunity to learn, you know, something about this instance.
Yep. Yep. And it is. And there's a lot to learn. And I know, our field mentors at this point, they know obviously what good habitat is, where birds are. They're out there hunting right alongside the group too. And one just said the other day, it's so frustrating sometimes when I know we're going to go to an area where there aren't birds, and um, she's like, but I know it's a great teaching opportunity to be able to explain why.
Right.
So, yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, you kind of riffed it on it for a second there, but what's maybe the top 3 to 5 barriers that you see for women and youth, maybe young women, you know, want those two together, when it comes to getting into the hunting world? I know if for me as a male young adult, I had some barriers to overcome, but I have no idea, obviously, what it's like to be in those shoes. And so, yeah. So what's some of those needs that you would like to highlight that you think Her Upland is addressing and helping along with?
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I think the finding a mentor. I think that's a difficult part. It's the ask.
Mhm.
Um, the intimidation of it all. There's a lot of things into it. Gear that doesn't fit or is expensive, of putting too much thought into, okay, I'm going to need this gun. I'm going to need this vest if I want to do all these things. And um, we really try to push, you don't need all that. Get yourself a comfortable pair of hiking shoes, a gun, and a backpack, even just to be
Mhm.
able to put your birds in and hold water for your dog. Um, but those things, I think the feeling of lack of holding someone back is something that is a bit of a barrier for a lot that I hear about, or someone that goes out hunting with a partner and they never get a shot in because the partner is always shooting the birds so fast.
Right.
And you're like, well, that's going to be with anybody you hunt with sometimes.
Mhm.
um, but you don't have to go hunting with somebody that would do that if you have the skills and the tools yourself to be able to
Mhm.
to go out and have those experiences. And then over time, you can be the one that's out shooting your partner. So, yeah, I think some of those are factors. And like I mentioned earlier, just the affordability and the resource of finding it, of how do you learn the tools? Where do you go to find these tools? And I think you can make a couple different locations to find that, but we tried to really make it like a one-stop shop as far as learning all those things in those 5 days, and then keeping that community and those friendships along to stick with it. Because we always
Mhm.
hear the statistic of women are the largest growing demographic, and but what's even more shocking is the stat you don't hear about more, is that the following year, those women a lot of them are not renewing their license.
Hmm.
So when we at HerUpland, we've started to really dig into that a couple years ago of why they aren't renewing and trying to provide resources for those reasons. And is it because they had a bad experience? did they never actually get out and do it? So
Hmm.
why would I, renew a license if I felt so intimidated not to get out? Um, or are they just defining success in a way that we don't?
Hmm.
We try to push that and teach success is not birds in the bag at the end of the day. Success is being able to be safe out there, like finding your truck at the end of the day. How do
Right.
you navigate that? How, set your track when you leave the truck, get back. Did you get into cover? Did you see bird feces? Did you see bird feathers? Those things are success.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also just helping them become skilled, like in knowing the context in which they are hunting, right? And not just, oh, I'm just walking and trying to find birds, right? Not saying anybody's doing that, but you're helping, giving them an all-encompassing knowledge of just how all this is working together, and so I can know how to navigate back to my vehicle, or this is where north is, just like little things like that that's going to help them be
Yeah.
successful as well and have that much more of a pleasant experience.
Yes.
And you touch on a really good thing too about just like it's so easy. I've not really hunted with many women other than like my wife has gone with me, and I know the couple times like you and I were talking off air about her quail hunting with me and pheasant hunting with me, and she's 5'2", so tall pheasant grass and her don't do well really together. And I remember this was a few years ago. Um, so in Indiana, we have it's a draw system. It's free, but it's an online draw system that you can do to put in for what's called game bird habitat areas up in northern Indiana. And these are mostly for pheasant hunting opportunities. There are quail on a lot of these properties too. So you have some mixed bag opportunity. But I got her to put in for it. The odds are about 8% that she would get drawn. Well, lo and behold, she gets drawn. And so we, get up early on, whatever day it was, and we make that roughly 3-hour drive north. And we no more get, I mean, just a few minutes into the cover, and it's just swallowing her alive. And even like I said, this is nothing against any other woman and how they hunt or anything. I just have the context of hunting with my wife. But like just learning to like move at her pace as well and be respectful of that. But this is also true, just even with like you were talking about, taking your son out here in a couple of days with his puppy, and even you just got to see it through their eyes. And you, as a mentor, which I don't know if I would classify myself as a mentor quite yet. I mean, I've taken some people out and stuff, but learning to kind of see their experience through their eyes, and then you've got to acclimate yourself to that level, or else it's going to be just kind of this. There's this friction that's always going to be there of where you're working against them, and they're not going to have a pleasant experience most likely, because you're going to get frustrated because you're wondering why they can't keep up or whatever. And of course they're not gonna want to do that again, most of them. So I think it's really interesting too, even like kind of the data that you guys are wanting to look into with HerUpland of, well, why aren't women renewing their licenses? Like, what did they have a bad experience? Did they never go? Did they get maybe intimidated just by just the all of it, or did just life get in the way? Like, I'm sure that there's probably multiple reasons, but that'd be really cool to get your hands on that data and figure out what has been the hiccup there, and why that kind of broke down for the following year in license sales. And I think that would kind of inform even kind of how you guys approach things moving forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you touched on some good stuff there. Uh, I think when you are going out with other people, and whether you put yourself in that mentor role of knowing that you're going with novice or um, uh, brand new out there, is to, or even experienced, right? Like, I mean, I've hunted with women that have been hunting for 40 years. And I think it's really important to have those tailgate conversations before you go out, and what the goals are, um, and making sure everybody in your party or just you and the other person are in alignment with what the goals are for that hunt,
Hmm.
uh, to to make sure that you have an enjoyable hunt and a good friend at the end of the day. And
Right.
right? Like if you have a dog, um, and this happened to me last year. I put so much into my dog utility testing, and I'm like, I'm only shooting birds this season where he's got clean work because I want to keep him really broke. And so if you put that dog down with dogs that are, puppies or not broke, stealing points, stealing retrieves, eh, have those conversations at the tailgate and know that if like, and I've said that last year too. Look, I have a puppy. He's not going to back your dog. He's going to steal its point. He's going to do all the naughty things. Are you
Yeah.
okay with that? And
Yeah.
if not, I put the dog away and I go and I hunt with just that other person's dog, because that is
Hmm.
going to be a more enjoyable hunt for both of us. And I
Right.
think while we all enjoy having our dog down on the ground, for a lot of us, it's the reason we hunt is because of our dogs. But to make it enjoyable for the group and good experiences, it's kind of like the read the room thing. Get that conversation out of the way and decide what is going to be uh, the best choice for this hunt.
Yeah. You make a really good point too, where yeah, a lot of my hunting is just me and the dog, and I will never say that my dog is the most textbook dog. I mean, we go out. I think she has an incredible nose. We find birds. We typically get to bring at least something home. Um, but with other folks, I probably, the times that I do hunt with them, it's a good reminder to me at least to say now, I can't guarantee that everything's going to go exactly as planned. If you've got your dog like broke to a T, and so are you okay with that? So thanks for the reminder on that. It's a good thing because like you want it to be an enjoyable experience for everyone. Like you said, you want to keep a friend at the end of the day, and there would you, no matter if it's someone that you've hunted with forever, or for the first time, there's just kind of these social nuances that are there that you would do well to pay attention to, besides when you're just hunting alone. Um, it's very easy when it's just you and the dog or the dogs to just kind of like, I just meander a lot. Like I don't, um, I'm very like, I just kind of like, I follow the dog, right? It's what we say.
Yes. Yeah.
And I kind of treat it as just, that we kind of hunt like water, where water just kind of just goes wherever it wishes, it seems like, right?
Hmm.
I don't have a straight line. I don't have a path. I mean, I've got like objectives, I think, and structural things that I'm keen in on. Um, so I always say like I shape the path, but I let the dog kind of determine step by step what we do. It's really hard to do that in a group setting where everybody's just kind of moving in this direction. And if my dog's in front of me and she's like, I can tell she's birdie and working something over here, it's just so hard to like maintain that kind of that vehicle of people moving in a singular direction. But I feel like I'm getting
Yeah.
off topic here, but like it's good to establish like those expectations up front of what kind of the day looks like, and even like etiquette too. Like, hey, if a bird's low, if you don't feel comfortable with it, don't shoot. Like, there's no bird out there that's worth maybe compromising someone's safety, whether it be a person or a dog. Just things like that too. So I think
Yeah.
the all that's really good, and it's cool that you guys are helping supplement that information with HerUpland. Um,
Yeah.
what's like since you started the podcast, even now into HerUpland, what's been like a really cool couple powerful moments that you've witnessed maybe at one of the HerUpland events that's been like, man, that was a really big win right there for this organization.
Um, f- well, for me, I think those moments are um big wins for the participants, and big wins, whether that's their first wild bird, whether that's them, like noticing them as we're hunting to stop and look at the habitat around them, be able to identify kinnikinnick, snowberries, rose hips. Um, it's moments like that for me that are like, oh, this is why I do it. This is why
Mm-hmm.
I do it because it's a lot of work. Her Upland, we're all volunteers. None of us are getting paid. Um, and it's with any volunteer bit, it's just it gets tiring. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but when I go to these events, I get so rejuvenated seeing these women learn, enjoy it, and have those moments of um, what they now define as success.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing them, we our very our very first year at a grouse camp, um, we had a gal come and it's the story that I now have heard so many times of woman got a bird dog breed for a running partner. As they're out running, the dog is on point and pointing a bird. Now, woman would love to uh, pursue hunting because the dog shows that it can do it and wants to do it. So we had, and that's our avatar. That is very much Her Upland's avatar and what we have designed all of our programs around. Um, and so this gal specifically, um, it was the wing shooting instruction day for her first time holding a shotgun. There was a lot of emotion around that. And then when it came to hunting day, she wasn't someone that we were even ready to put a shotgun in her hand with ammo, with live ammo to hunt with because um, she wasn't ready. And we recognize that. We're not going to put people in a situation that is unsafe for others
Mm-hmm.
and or themselves. So um, she was in my group on the first hunting day and I said, "Look, like I'm going to give you this shotgun. I'm not going to hand you any ammo today. What we're going to do in this group we had two other ladies with us. We're going to walk and if you see a bird, close up your gun, mount and go through the motion." And so she did that. The second day similar thing. And the following weekend, she messaged me and said that her husband had gone out of town. She took her dog and her husband's gun out for a hike in the woods. She shot her first grouse. The dog retrieved it to her. And after that, she came to our bird dog training camp. She came to a wing shooting clinic and she came to grouse camp the following year and was a whole different type of participant. And that's something we see often. A lot of our field mentors have gone through that process where they've come to several events, they've learned, and now they want to turn around, volunteer, and provide that same thing as a mentor. So I think, yeah, like the number of women that come to repeat events that want to be involved, that want to give back, like that, there is the heart of Her Upland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and it makes sense too that a lot of folks they have that powerful experience where, you said she came back the next year a totally different person, a lot more confident, has such a sense of more like maybe like authority or ownership, like in a really good way.
Hmm.
And now it's like, oh, I want to like help facilitate this as well and like give it to the next person. So I love that. I think that's really good. And it sounds like that's what you guys are hanging your hat on to. It's like that's the type of person and confidence and just kind of like life-changing experience we want to provide for women specifically and young people that feel like it's just this wall that they can't even like see up over the top of, sometimes. And even just like this simplicity of just walking in the field too and getting that muscle memory of just pulling the gun up on the bird and just maybe even pulling the trigger and just hearing it go click and still watching that bird fly off. But even that just slowly kind of develops that confidence in a person where it's like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. That was all like, okay, I've gotten used to that now. And then what I've always noticed too is that you get to a point too when you're out hunting, and maybe this is because I've just took a step down to a 20 gauge, but it's like, man, I don't even remember the shot hardly, like or if it even like going off or anything, just because there just comes a point where you're just, I mean, not that I'm the best or the best shot or anything like that, but you just come to a point where it's so just tied to who you are now that it's kind of just second nature. Like like a lot of times I don't remember pulling up on a bird and shooting, and I'm sure you're at this point too, where you don't remember all that a lot of times. I just know it happened, and that for me, I think defines a person that's pretty confident in the field. And now when they're able to go and like share that with someone else and like help them become that person, um, man, what a gratifying feeling. I've got a fella, so I'm at my church that I took out this last fall on a quail hunt here locally, and he was able to get some shots off on some birds and get to see some dog work. Um, and we were able to get a bird and take it. We got a quail, and then we had a flock of doves fly over us, and we were able to get a bird out of that too. So at the end, I sent those home with him, and it was so fun because he immediately went home and like put them in the skillet and cooked them, and like even did you kind of had a comparison side by side of like a dark meat bird, the dove, and a light meat bird, the quail. And that was just so fun for me to, even though I wasn't like at his house with him, but he like immediately reported to me like what he did and what his thoughts were like on each individual taste. And then I think he even went out. I need to follow up on with him because I need to, I'm looking to take him again this year, but I think he went out and even bought a specific gun for bird hunting even after that. So, and like,
That's
how
awesome.
fun is that, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
great? Like it's like, I don't know, just people, and people don't even realize like how, I think there's a lot of bird hunters out there that they don't realize they're bird hunters yet, or at least
Mhm.
maybe not that, but like they don't realize like, oh, this is just such a cool world. Maybe they still don't ever like pick up the gun. Because I always, like, one of the things I kind of live by is that bird hunting is not for everybody, but conservation is.
Mhm.
And they just see the beauty of like whether it's a dog on point, maybe it's the places that the birds live, maybe it's a sunset over the prairie, whatever. Um, there's all these touch points I think that people can connect with, whether they ever put a gun in their hand or not. And I think one of the best things about bird hunting, and just hunting in general is when you get to give that to someone else,
Oh
and help
man.
that kind
Yeah.
of fan into flame for them. So I think that's really cool, that you can point to these really clear moments where her upland has provided that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's super rewarding. And I think another thing I didn't mention is just like how much we put into the conservation and ethics of it as well, of leaving things better than you found it. And that's a big bit. And I think even women that have come and have already hunted for 20, 40 years that come to one of our hunt camps, they're walking away with more information, with tips of how to be um, a better hunter. When I say better hunter, that's in such a huge aspect of things. It's not necessarily competence, but it's just being more cognizant of your surroundings, what you're doing, what you're
Hmm.
putting into the land, how we can be better stewards of the land. And I think those things sometimes get overlooked. And
Oh yeah.
so yeah, it's kind of just broadening a lot of perspective.
Yeah. Well, I love that too, and that's, um, something that like at least the tagline for right now for the Upland Social is together we conserve, celebrate, and explore wild places, and that conservation piece, it has to be paramount, in all these efforts. I think. I mean, I think that if you are, well, whether you're in the bird hunting world or not, if you have some type of organization, where you're inviting people to come along with you into it, such as Her Upland, such as what I'm doing, conservation has to be at the cornerstone of that, because it it's one of the few pursuits where there's such a very clear extractive effort, where you're actually going and taking the life of an animal, and you're taking something out that was alive that morning and now it's not. So what are you doing to not only pop the dent back out, but to like fortify that place as well and be a good steward of that place?
Mhm.
I think that should be more than the hunting itself. I think I should be at the forefront of what we do, because yeah, I don't know how much you listen to Doug Dern or not from over at Sharing the Land, but he says it's not ours, it's just our turn, right? And what a powerful way to look at that, where you and I are just a very small piece in the whole grand scheme of things.
Mhm.
But it's also amazing how great of an impact we can make on a place, in a good way or a bad way. And I think, like just like what you said, you leave it better than you found it. That can be as small as making sure to do your effort to pick up your shells. It's very easy if your gun does not eject them.
Mhm.
It's a little bit tougher if you got an auto loader. But always making that concerted effort to not leave just raw plastic on the ground, to like, hey, I'm going to show up for this habitat day, or a fella and I were talking from a previous episode. He just how you can get involved even from afar. Like let's say I go to Montana and I hunt sharptails. Like, what can I do? What phone call can I make to some type of local organization, or even to a politician out there to help do things that are favorable for sharp-tailed grouse? And so, yeah, it sounds like that's a very big piece of all this for you guys as well at HerUpland, and I think that's something to be celebrated too, for sure.
Yeah, I think education, it's so much. And, yes, I've been doing this for almost 20 years, but I'm still learning. I'm still trying to be better and do better. We went into a gas station in our hunting clothes a couple years ago, and the guy at the counter was like, "Oh, are you guys out bird hunting?" "Yeah, we are. We're on our way out." And he's like, "Oh, neat. Yeah, my buddies and I went out grouse hunting last weekend, and every bird that got up, we shot them all. It was awesome." Like, yes, he just took out an entire family of birds.
Hmm.
Um, and I really don't think in his head he saw it that way, that I perceived it. I don't think he purposely wanted to take out an entire family. I just don't think he knew better. Um,
Hmm.
and so many things of hunting birds when it's cold and late into the afternoon or night, knowing that once you learn, they're going to have a hard time getting covied back up and stay warm and survive through the night.
Right.
um, I think it's just lack of education. And the more we can keep talking about it and putting it out there and telling people, I think the more awareness comes to that stuff.
Hmm.
And it's going to be a factor in your hunt of how important is it that I keep pursuing this or keep chasing that same covey because I see exactly where they landed and I just want to get one or two more out of that. Like,
Hmm.
why?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You make a really good point too there about how generally, and I feel like overall, I'm a very glass half full person, and it sounds like you are too. Like with people where it's like this is probably a lack of understanding more than it is just like an outright like I don't care kind of thing,
Mhm.
kind of like the fellow at the gas station you're talking about. Um, and so if that's the case, and even like with when it comes to people that aren't hunters, let's say they're bird watchers, it's like, man, we probably have a whole lot more in common than we do different. But we just as humans, we focus on what is the defining differences and what's the negative maybe aspects of like what I view about you and vice versa. But there's probably a Venn diagram here where we share a lot of similarities. And so let's meet there and let's figure out like what how we can work together on this. And so just like with the fellow at the gas station, it's you I mean, you're probably never going to hunt with him, but like when you bump up against those opportunities to kindly interject a teaching moment,
Mhm.
um it's, man, I think you should take advantage of those. And then they're like, a lot of times they're like, oh, Wow, I never thought about it that way. Thanks for telling me that. A lot of times they're not like, oh, whatever, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Um,
Yeah.
there's people like that for sure, but I think just basically what you're saying, you see the good in people a lot, and a lot of times they mean well. It's just an unintentional oversight on their part. So that's a really good point that you make. Um, Courtney, as we're winding down here, got a few more questions for you.
Sure.
But what's a piece of advice that you give to a lady, to a young person, maybe both, that's intimidated by the world of hunting and wanting to get into it, but they just don't know how? What's maybe a nugget or two of advice that you would give to them?
For sure, just start small. Um, don't don't put so much into it, and I think of it, it's kind of like starting a podcast, right? Like you don't want to do it until you have all the things in place. And like the best advice I ever received for that was just start messy, just do it,
Mm-hmm.
and improve. And so I think with hunting, start small. Don't think that you need all these things. As you progress and you find out if it's your jam or not, then start doing, getting things to elevate your game. Um, but I think just like I said, get a comfortable pair of shoes or boots. Look at what cover you're in. Um, a backpack, a shotgun that isn't gonna hurt you, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
spend some time shooting that before season starts so that you're comfortable with it. You can pattern it, you know what your shot looks like. It's little things like that that just get out there and do it and figure it out. You're gonna have a lot of fails, but that is what is gonna make you better. If you go out
Mm-hmm.
and have birds in the bag every time, that's awesome. That's great for you. Haven't heard of that happening very often, but
Mm-hmm.
it's when you go out and you're like, oh yeah, I see now why I didn't get into birds here, because of this and this and this. But yeah, I think just start small and just go do it. Just if someone invites you, always say yes. Always take the trip. Always do the things,
Mm-hmm.
um, because that's what's gonna make you want to do it more and learn more and get out more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it. You can go to a hunting store or even like an event like Pheasant Fest, and you can um, unintentionally conclude that, or uninformed, uninformedly, maybe that's the word, it conclude that like you have to have all this gear and garb and just drop thousands upon thousands of dollars to go bird hunting. And really, no, you don't. If you've got, especially if you're at a place like the prairies of Montana or even like the Northwoods, if you've got like some decent, maybe high ankle tennis shoes, pocket full of shells, a gun, and just a little backpack from Walmart even.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like, yeah, maybe you don't feel cool, but who cares? Like, just go. You don't even have to have a dog. Like, I've done it plenty without a dog.
absolutely.
And it's, and, there's even like maybe on the verge of heresy, but like, there's even like a cool element of just being out there by yourself with like nothing but yourself. And just
Yep.
having that very singular experience of just a dogless hunter. So I would not discourage someone from doing that. It's a lot more accessible than you think. You already buy tennis shoes, anyways. Most of us do, and you can find a little pump shotgun. Or maybe you've even got a family member that they're just like, oh yeah, I haven't used that thing in forever. Just take it. Like, that's
Mhm.
that's probably more readily available for some of us than we think. Um, Grab a box of shells, stuff them in your pocket, and get a backpack that you probably already have too, and just go. I think
Yeah.
that's really good. So
Yep.
love that advice.
And if you want to go somewhere across the country you've never been before, don't post on social media asking where to go. Find somebody that you know in that area and say, "Hey, I'm looking to hunt around this area, insert location. What should I be looking for
Yeah.
as far as habitat goes?" People put a lot of work into locations and where they find birds, and some are happy to give up specific spots, but I think to help you be a better hunter and really earn the reward in all of it is being able to do that on your own. And so just ask what to look for, what kind of cover, what they're eating that time of year. And that's going to be the best way to go about it.
Yeah. Guest and I were talking a few episodes back about um, when you earn it like that, isn't it just like so much nicer? It's just so much more satisfying because you're like, oh, I did it without
Yeah.
someone holding my hand, which has kind of been like the overarching message of this entire episode, right? Where it's like I went out and I just figured it out. And even touching on too of like when you said that like you're gonna have days where you go out and have these birdless days and they feel like a failure. Um, uh, I always think like they're not a failure. You're just data logging is what you're doing. And you're talking about like if we just went out and we limited every time, it's like one, nobody's doing that. Even the best of the best are not doing that. Two, that doesn't really produce like a hunter that has like any mental stamina to know how to pivot and think critically about, okay, well, why weren't the birds here? What do we need to be, should we drop lower? Should we go up higher? Do we need to focus on this habitat type? Like that's where you begin to like expand your knowledge as a hunter too, because newsflash, these birds do not play by the rules, right? And they're never, like, just like we said at the beginning of the show, it's like they are or they are until they're not, right? So what are you going to do in that moment? And so all those things, they make up the whole of like what makes you just a better person in the field. So none of that stuff is a waste. Even if you drive across the country, let's say you drive, like I drove 1,300 miles round trip to shoot one prairie chicken a few years ago. Would I trade it for the world?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No,
Yep.
because I learned a lot. Like now I'm, on the verge of going back out this year again and trying my hand at it again. And I know that all those experiences have informed me to maybe be a little bit better of a prairie chicken hunter this fall, right? And so it's not, none of that stuff's a waste, I guess is what I'm trying to encourage someone listening to right now. It's just like just go,
Just go. Always
and
go.
just go. Um, okay, real quick, this isn't on the list, but rapid fire question of bird recipe, can be any bird. What's a recipe? Give me one.
Ooh, my favorite bird to hunt to eat is sharp-tailed grouse.
Okay.
Um, Favorite recipe for sharp-tailed grouse is a little bit of butter in the pan, put some Alpine Touch, which is a Montana seasoning, on each
Okay.
side, and just lightly sear it for a couple minutes each side, and it is the best ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone
Yeah.
tells you that they don't like sharp tail, they are not preparing it
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, we say, if anybody's listened to bird hunting podcasts or just been in the world about dark meat birds, I mean, it's what we've said a lot. It's just like you got to do it quick
Mm.
on each side and not overcook
Mhm.
it. And it can be, prairie chickens included, woodcock. Woodcock have a touch more of an earthy taste, I think, to them, than
Yeah,
those prairie
same as
birds.
our
But
snipe here. Yep.
yeah, yeah. But still, just fantastic. Like, just I think when it comes to those dark meat birds like that, simplicity is your friend. Just cook
Yeah.
it like a steak, and you're not going to go wrong. So yeah, love
Yeah.
that. Um, okay. At the end of the day, what does success look like for her upland?
Oh, for her upland. Um,
One thing you can hang your hat on.
Confidence. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Yep.
Just
Having that
confidence that's
confident woman
reproduced
out
in a,
there.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Love
One
it.
thing.
Love it.
Yep.
All right, Courtney, this has been a great conversation. We've got one last question for you.
Okay.
What keeps bringing you back to the uplands?
Whew, so many things. Um, Dogs, family, friends. I mean, like this community um of her upland specifically has built and made lifelong friendships. And by that, I mean it is like it's your group, it's your crew, it is your
Mm-hmm.
gang. And yeah, and the wild places. I think um the uplands, they make us better people, they make us better stewards. Um, and that's just really worth showing up for season
Yeah.
after season.
Well said. Love it. Courtney, thanks so much for joining us today on the Upland Social. It's been a blast.
Thank you very much, Ryan.
Thank you for listening to the Upland Social, an extension of the Hunting Effect Podcast Network. Recording and editing of this podcast, plus intro and outro music, was performed by me, Ryan Linton. My aim is that through this episode, you are more equipped and inspired to explore, conserve, and celebrate the upland hunting lifestyle and the beautiful places it takes us. Until next time, whether it's right here or out in the field, we'll talk soon.